Welcome back to Talk of the Town on 99.7, 1450 WHTC and WHTC.com.
We welcome you back to Talk of the Town for this Thursday, May 5th. I'm Gary Stevens. First Thursday of the month. This time we catch up on what's going on in law enforcement with Allegan County. With Allegan County Sheriff Frank Baker. He joins us via the Zoom connection from the Sheriff's Office in Allegan. Good morning, Frank. Hope all is well.
Good morning, Gary.
Glad you are with us. If you have a question about law enforcement or about a specific topic that we'll be touching with Frank in a moment, he'll be happy to answer it at 616-395-1450, 616-395-1450. Over the past month, before we get to the specific subject, what key things have happened in the county in terms of law enforcement? I know there's been some things moving or going to move in the county when we've had the county the commissioners in talking with you and talking about law enforcement. What developments have come since the last time you joined us, Frank?
Well, probably one of the biggest things, Gary, is going to be that, and we've talked about this over the last several months, is our body cam project. That's kind of come to fruition now. We're just kind of finalizing some of the last details as far as some policy things and stuff that we have to have in place, but the equipment's arriving. Some of it is already here, and we're excited about that. And we're awaiting our vendor to supply some training and some different things that we'll need to put it actually and deploy it. But we're very close. We're very excited, and I think it's going to be a great asset to us in serving the community.
I do want to bring this point up, and I'm pulling up my a wire service because you're talking about body cam, and I'm going to bring up the Kent County situation. The police chief in Kent County, Eric Winstrom, is praising a bill from Democratic Congresswoman Brenda Lawrence of Southfield to give more funding for police to review body camera footage. And Winstrom says that this money would be able to hire a supervisor whose job would be to solely look at the video. Has that been something that has been discussed in Allegan County in terms of maybe having somebody devoted just to looking at the videos?
Oh, that's kind of an interesting thing, Gary, because one of the things that we did when we began this project is we asked for an additional position that we're calling a compliance specialist. And it's going to be a person who is responsible for reviewing video, for redacting, for different things, for court, for FOIA, for different opportunities where we have to present video. There are certain requirements. Obviously, we have to protect certain information, especially with juveniles and HIPAA and different things like that. So we don't share some things. But that's one of the things that we did is we've hired a person. We have him in place now so that our idea is that we want someone that if he sees something that he feels is inappropriate, or maybe there's additional training needed, or something could have been done better, he can bring it to our attention so that we can try to deal with the situation before maybe it either festers, it blows up into something bigger, or occurs that we could maybe have prevented. So that's very interesting that someone's looking at that, because that's exactly what we're doing here.
And again, just to refresh my memory and our listeners as well, when will the body cameras be deployed in Allegan County?
It'll be sometime, hopefully in the early summer months, but it'll be this summer.
Okay, I just wanted to sort of keep that in mind, and probably if we chat, we'll probably be bringing it up in our chat in June.
Yep.
As has been the custom over the last few months when Frank has joined us via the Zoom connection from the Allegan County Sheriff's Department headquarters in Allegan, he has a guest with him. And today his guest is Lorient Goviac. She is the executive director of Safe Harbor Children's Advocacy Center. And before we get to Lori, Frank, you have a history with the Advocacy Center, both in your current capacity and as you were moving up the ranks in the Allegan County Sheriff's Department.
Yeah, Gary, obviously, as a detective with the Sheriff's Office for many years, of course, that's been a few years ago, I had the honor and pleasure of working with Safe Harbor and seeing the need that the community has, seeing the services they provide. And it was something that I felt very strongly about. So, gosh, I guess it's been about maybe Lori's got records that go back that far, but I think about 20 years or so, I've been on the board of directors for Safe Harbor. And it's something that I'm very passionate about. And I thought this would be a great time to have Lori come in and introduce her. As the sheriff, obviously, we still use those services. And I feel it's something that's important to our community. So I thought maybe you'd get a chance to introduce herself to you and that you would learn a little bit about that. And you can see some of the great things that she's doing here in Allegan County with the Children's Advocacy Center.
Certainly, indeed. And we do want to welcome Lorient Goviac, the Executive Director of Safe Harbor Children's Advocacy Center. Lori, good morning. Thank you for joining us. And tell us a little bit about exactly what Safe Harbor is. And I believe it is Berry and Allegan County is what your office is pertaining about.
That's correct. Thanks for having me this morning. Safe Harbor is that safe place for kids to come and share their story of either sexual or severe physical abuse. But then we also do prevention in the schools, trying to help keep kids safe by teaching them body safety and how to recognize a safe or unsafe touch, and then help them identify safe adults. And then we try to train adults to be that safe adult, to understand, to properly recognize and respond to suspected child abuse and neglect. But then sorry.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay. And we advocate for them in the court systems, both while the children are testifying, we're there with them. And then we are also there through our CASA, or the Court Appointed Special Advocate Program, and advocating for kids that have been removed from their homes due to neglect or abuse.
Let me pose this question, Lori, not in the usual, has it gotten tougher? Because that's a quantitative thing. But what challenges in 2022 are there now in dealing with this issue that maybe weren't there when you first came on board with the Safe Harbor? Maybe the different challenges and the different complexities of trying to, not only reach those who have been victimized, but also to enable them to be victors instead of being just victims?
That's an excellent question, where there's a lot of parts to that answer. One of the challenges we actually have at Safe Harbor itself is that we are in a really small building. We're in about 2,400 square feet, and we have 9 staff to work with kids. And we see over 200 children in Allegan County alone that are victims of sexual or severe physical abuse. So when those children come in and law enforcement and child protective services and the prosecutor are there, it is a very tight space in that 2,400 square feet. And when COVID happened and we had to do extra cleaning procedures and have time in between each interview for the children, it just really became a lot more complicated to properly and timely serve the kids. So to help take care of that issue, we are working on actually groundbreaking for a new building that will be 6,000 square feet, where we'll be able to serve all the children that come into our center at one time. Whereas right now we've actually had to delay some of the interviews for kids, and that's not fair to them and their families. Once they come forward with allegations of abuse, they need to be able to be seen right away and not have to wait. So this new building will allow us to see those children right away, and then to also provide therapy at the same time to other children, where we can serve about 7 kids versus 1 or 3 children at most in our current facility. So the biggest issue we've had is space, which has only been more complicated in the last 2 or 3 years.
Let's get to a call. 616-395-1450. No, let's not get to a call. Did not want to hold on as we are talking with Lori Antkoviak. She is the Executive Director of Safe Harbor Children's Advocacy Center. And as I mentioned when we first started our conversation, Lori, it's for Berry and Allegan counties. So are there separate facilities in Hastings and in Allegan for this, or is it all one, or maybe will be one if you're going to get this new building built?
We have 2 different facilities, one to serve Allegan and one to serve Berry County, one in Hastings, because the families need to not have to drive too long of a distance to get the services that they need. So we see about over 120 children each year in the Hastings facility, and then we see about 200 children each year in the Allegan facility. And we won't combine them once we have our new facility for the benefit of the children in each community.
The other thing, too, is the fact that Do you have contact with maybe similar type of efforts in neighboring communities? I'm thinking, does Ottawa County have something like this? I mean, because we obviously we serve more than just one county.
Right. Ottawa County does have the Ottawa County Children's Advocacy Center that serve the children in Ottawa community. And then currently Allegan, our Safe Harbor, is working to include Van Buren County as an additional service area.
Frank, when we talk about children and abuse, a lot of times, obviously, we talk about a familiar situation where the abuser and the victim knew each other, sometimes in a family situation, which is always painful. But with human trafficking situations, situations where runaways become ensnared in the situation, to me, that just compounds the problems, not only in the law enforcement side, but with Lori's side, with the Advocacy Center, of trying to break that tight knit web that can happen in a situation such as sex trafficking situations.
Yeah, Gary. I mean, one of the things you talked about earlier was have things changed over the years, and they certainly have in regards to human trafficking and access. One of the reasons we see, especially our younger children victimized by family members, friends, people they know, is because of access. They have access to them. But one of the things that we have now is, of course, the internet. And we have, all the different apps that are out there, all the different ways they have for people that are perpetrators of these types of things to gain access to victims. And human trafficking is obviously one of those things that's a concern of ours. And one of our detectives works on one of the task forces through the federal government, just specializing in that type of thing, where we're trying to identify the victims and the perpetrators through the use of technology that they utilize for that reason. But yeah, like you say, Lori has the same challenges at the center, and obviously we see children up to the age of 17, I believe, isn't it, Lori? So we start to get into that realm of the teenagers, the older kids that are out on their own and are potentially becoming victims.
Let me ask you a law enforcement question, Frank, and I want to bring this up now while I'm thinking about it fresh in mind, be it in May, the end of the school year, and we have already seen some schools already hold their proms. It'll be graduation time. A lot of new drivers hitting the roads, coming in there. That really gives law enforcement new challenges, or reinforces challenges about road safety, especially with some of those inexperienced drivers.
Yeah, and over the years, we occasionally put on special programs at schools, just targeting, the prom nights, the graduation parties, the things that we know are potentially going to be problematic for younger drivers. When they have a lot of distractions of other kids in the car, or maybe they've decided to make some bad decisions and utilize alcohol or drugs or something, and they're going to operate a vehicle. Last thing any of us ever want to see is a tragedy where a young person is injured or killed during a time that should be a celebration. And that's one of the things that we always look at this time of year. And one of the things that we focus on is trying to make sure that our communities are safer for our kids.
I have two more questions, one for you, Frank, and then one for Lori to wrap up our conversation. First for you, Frank, since this will be our last chance to chat before the Memorial Day weekend, the holiday weekend, and this becomes, again, another road safety situation. In the past, Allegan County has been participating with other law enforcement entities in additional patrols, additional crackdowns. Have you gotten guidance from the State Office of Highway Safety Planning as to what would be the primary focus of this Memorial Day weekend, or is that still a little early in terms of the planning stages?
That might be out there already, Gary. I haven't had a chance to talk to our traffic sergeant, who is involved with the state and takes care of the grants and different programs that are coordinated through the state. Obviously, like you say, it's something that we do look at every year, because it's going to be one of those the big three, as we kind of look at them, Memorial Day, the 4th of July, and Labor Day weekends. And of course, for us, we have the additional things like Venetian Festival and stuff over in the Lakeshore area. So we got different things that we anticipate. We have additional resources available that we help put out there just to be the deterrent, if nothing more than that. We want the roads as safe as possible, and we don't want to see a tragedy or an incident occur that's going to be a blemish on the holiday. So, yep, that is something that we'll be putting together very soon here, if it hasn't already been started to be coordinated already, Gary.
All right. The other question I have, and I want to swing back to Lorient and Goviac of the Safe Harbor Children's Advocacy Center for a moment. Reason why I wanted to have you back, Lori, is the fact of how the public can help the center, be it financially or, like many agencies, a helping hand with volunteers.
Absolutely, and we can use both, that is for sure. One of the major ways we use our volunteers is through our court-appointed special advocates, or the CASA program. Those are the volunteers that visit with the kids that have been removed from their homes, and we really need more dedicated volunteers to speak on behalf of those kids in the court system, and definitely through donations. We just had our Lifeline Gala, and very appreciative of the community that came out to support us. But we can use donations specifically towards our capital campaign. We still need to raise right around $1 million to meet our need of this new building. So if they're willing to go to our website, actually, safeharborcac.org, we'll have other opportunities as well for the community to see how they can help us.
Quick question, Lori. What time frame, if all goes well, what time frame are we looking at for maybe seeing the new building become a reality?
Absolutely. Well, they started clearing trees yesterday on our lot, and we're hoping at the end of this year, towards the middle of December, that we'll be able to hopefully move into our new facility.
Lorient Goviac is with the Safe Harbor Children's Advocacy Center. I want to thank you very much for joining us today on Talk of the Town. Sheriff Frank Baker, as always, we appreciate having him join us as well. Frank, I'll talk to you next month.
Sounds good, Gary. Have a good holiday.
You do as well. Allegan County Sheriff Frank Baker.